What's up, guys? It is Sunday, so we're going to jump in back on the CD collection. We finally finished up the I section last week. We seemed like we were stuck in those I bands forever. We're actually going to make it all the way through the J's and into the K's this week. I'm pretty lacking on some of these J bands, as you will see. It's a bit unfortunate. There was a spacer in the middle of this portion of the shelf as well, so this might be a little shorter than some of the other videos in the series. Unless I get to rambling, I do tend to do that sometimes, but I'm just going to jump in. First up, we have a power metal slash traditional heavy metal band out of here in the U.S., a pretty prominent band. This is Jagdpanzer with their 2001 release, Mechanized Warfare. This album's kind of like smack dab right in the middle of the band's discography. I picked this up used when I got it. I'd heard Jagdpanzer. I've heard that name and seen that band logo thrown around and everywhere. So this was kind of my introduction into Jagdpanzer. Pretty enjoyable release. I did like this. It is the only release of theirs that I own. If I happen to come across some more of their material at a good price, like in used bins or whatever, I'll probably pick it up because I did find Mechanized Warfare pretty solid. It wasn't groundbreaking or anything along those lines, but it was an enjoyable record. Next up, one that I recently got in that Riding Easy Records mystery box grab bag that I did. This is Thomas V. Yeager with a Solitary Plan. He is a Swedish guitarist, vocalist, and this is pretty solid. Kind of, it has that kind of straightforward rock and roll feel going on. Gets a little stonery at times, but it's a pretty enjoyable release. I did like this one. Next up, we have a band. I believe they're out of Indonesia. They are kind of melodic death metal. They teeter into deathcore territory as well. I know that might sound a little off-putting, but this EP was actually really solid. This is Jehovah the Satire with their 2015 EP entitled Philanthrope. Pretty good. Maybe Philanthropy. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I'm kind of blanking on that, but the EP itself is pretty solid. I found this to be quite enjoyable. This was hand numbered. This is number 30 out of 100, and I did like this much more than I expected to when I first checked it out. So next up, we have I guess kind of hardcore band out of Virginia. They are no longer around. This is a Jesuit with their full discography. They never put out a full length. They put out some EP and split material in the 90s, and Magic Bullet Records kind of compiled it all and put it out on one disc. Pretty prominent band members in this. Band members went on to be in pretty prominent other projects, I guess is the way I want to put it. You have members from Dillinger Escape Plan, Cave In. There's some other ones. I'm kind of going blank as far as the other bands that some of these members were a part of, but I do enjoy this Jesuit discography. This is some pretty solid, just violent sounding metal, not metal, hardcore. Gets grindy at times, but it is some pretty good stuff there. Next up, let's get a little weird as far as my CD collection goes. We have Jewel with Pieces of You. I know some of you may scratch your head and wonder why this is in the collection, but I absolutely love this album. I do have some surprises in the collection that will pop up here and there, and this is one of those. Full disclosure, I've always, since high school, wanted to make my own Funeral Doom cover of Foolish Games. I think that would make a fantastic Funeral Doom song. So somebody might steal my idea. I probably should have never even said that in the video. Next up, we have some deathcore. This is Job for a Cowboy with their Doom EP. Pretty good. Just looking at the Job for a Cowboy logo makes me feel old. Especially when I start looking at the dates that this stuff came out. Sometimes some of this stuff just feels like yesterday, and it's been so long. But pretty decent slab of deathcore there on the EP. I have their debut full length Genesis. I like this one as well. I might be in the minority that says that this is my favorite release from Job for a Cowboy. I know that that's not quite up to par with what other people feel about this band, but there's a lot of people that don't have fond thoughts about this band, period. So I guess me saying that one of them is my favorite is a positive thing. So that one is pretty good. I do like Genesis. I also have Ruination. Actually, I think I like all of the Job for a Cowboys that I own. There we go. It's in this little digipack. I got this in a Metal Blade Records bulk lot. They had a ton of these that they were distributing out in those lots at the time. This came out in 2009, so it's been out for a little bit. And then probably my least favorite of their discography, and it seems like a lot of people love this album. This is the Demonocracy release. This one, I don't know. It just felt very commercialized as far as Job for a Cowboy material was. I know that almost feels like a funny statement in itself, just saying commercialized and Job for a Cowboy together, because I know that they were like a Hot Topic band and all of that stuff. I remember seeing their T-shirts and everything everywhere back in the day. And then we have the last release, Sun Eater, which this one is probably a decade old at this point, even though it's their last release. I really like this one as well. It probably rivals Genesis as my two favorite Job for a Cowboy releases. I've heard like some rumors about the band possibly doing some new material. I don't know if that's ever going to materialize or what, but if it sounds anything like what they left with, kind of their swan song, then I definitely would be game to hearing it. I don't listen to a ton of deathcore anymore, but if I ever want to, I can pull this off the shelf and it will definitely scratch that itch. I'm sitting there saying that, and I'm wearing a Carnifex shirt because I do still enjoy Carnifex as well. Changing gears a little bit. We have some Norwegian black metal. This is a band that is split up as well. Had members of Gorgoroth. Both members of this band have been in a ton of other projects, so it's not surprising that they're no longer doing this band either, this project either. This is Jotunspur with their only full length. I'm going to butcher this, and the cover art is so dark it's going to be hard to read. Glipnir's Smitter. Yeah, I butchered that. As you can see, especially with my background with the skulls back there, it's going to glare off of that. But has this kind of folky feel at times. Pretty solid black metal release here. I do enjoy this. Gets a little industrial as well, and I'm not the biggest industrial fan at all times, but it definitely works on this release. It gives it like a sense of originality. It's very unfortunate that this is the only Jotunspur, I don't even know how to pronounce that, release that there was. This came out back in 2006 on Candlelight Records, but it is a solid black metal release. Next up, we have Judas Iscariot with their final full length, To Embrace the Corpse's Bleeding. Unfortunately, this is the only Judas Iscariot that I own. They have been split up for quite some time now. I believe this album, even though it was the last full length that they put out, has been out for probably going on 20 years now as well. I want to get the Thy Dying Light full length as well. It probably rivals this one as my two favorite Judas Iscariot black metal Judas Iscariot releases as far as this black metal band goes. Some good stuff. This was released on Redstream Records. At some point, I want to add some more of their material into the collection. I just have not done so. As I said, this section, it seemed like the J section, I'm severely lacking on some of these bands. Next up, we have Judas Priest, and I actually only own 3 Judas Priest albums, and I've mentioned before how sadly behind I am on picking up Judas Priest material. I have Screaming for Vengeance. I picked this up used, and I got it. It was much cheaper than the $5 price tag shows there. So I actually got a really good deal on this one. I do like Judas Priest. I don't know why I am so far behind on picking up their material. Then I have Ram It Down. A lot of people look at this one kind of unfavorably and the next one that I'm going to show, but I enjoyed both of them. I really haven't heard much from Judas Priest that I don't like, which makes it weird that I don't have a ton of their material in the collection. So, and then probably my favorite is Jugulator. I don't know what it is, why I love this album, and this might be one of the reasons why I don't have a ton of Judas Priest in the collection as it is, because I picked this up way back. It came out in '97, and it was very early, probably 2000s, when I picked this release up, and I got knocked pretty heavily for being into this album as much as I was. People were telling me how bad this one was, that, you know, even back then you still had the kind of gatekeepers as far as metal goes, and they kind of ragged on me. I remember people ragging on me for enjoying this one, and I still enjoy this album. This is definitely my favorite of the three Judas Priest that I own, but it kind of soured me, just the fact that I got kind of mocked for enjoying that album. So next up, I have the latest release from Jungle Rot. This is A Call to Arms. Unfortunately, I sold all of my other Jungle Rot releases when I was right before I purchased this house. I was kind of getting money together and paying some stuff to get ready to buy a house, and I had to sacrifice some stuff, and unfortunately I did sell some Jungle Rot albums. Definitely regretting it now in the sense that I missed the albums. I mean, I love this house, I love this space, but definitely am at times, it's kind of one of those seller's remorse type deals. But A Call to Arms, very solid. I mean, Jungle Rot, you know what you're going to get. They're very consistent on their albums, and this one is no different. Just solid death metal. This was released last year on Unique Leader Records. The last of the J albums, we have Junius with Reports from the Threshold of Death. Got this back in 2011. They had an article. It was kind of at the end of the year type deal in Decibel magazine when they're doing their top 40 albums of the year. I remember reading a solid review for this release, and it kind of sold me on wanting to check it out. So I ordered a copy. I do like it. It's got that kind of post metal, very atmospheric type stuff. I would maybe even post rock at times. It's one of those, it's kind of hard to lump this in as a metal release. I know you won't find them on Metal Archives or anything, but it definitely has a post-metal atmospheric feel going on. But I do find it very enjoyable. That was released on Prosthetic Records. Okay, that wrapped up the J's, and we'll get into this little stack of K's for this week, and then we'll be straight on into the K section next week. First up, this one's a little different as well. This features Mike Patton from Faith No More and the Norwegian, I believe Norwegian composer Kata. It's just Kata / Patton with romances. Pretty interesting release. I do like this. Based on kind of some classical passages as well. Pretty good. Very different from what I usually listen to, but when I want something on that's kind of mood music to go in the background, that just isn't aggressive, super aggressive, this definitely kind of fits that bill. Next up, we have some Russian pagan black metal. This is Kadaf with their debut full length that came out in 2015. I cannot pronounce it. It is in Russian. Pretty solid stuff here. I do find this one super enjoyable. I don't remember where I got this. I ordered it online many years ago, but I do find this enjoyable. I still like this release today. Good stuff there. Next up, we have a Mexican death metal band under the same name. This is Kadaf with Our Battles. This is an EP that was released in 2018. Very solid female-fronted death metal. Very aggressive stuff. Very brutal sounding stuff. It has definitely has that South American flair going on, but I find this super enjoyable. It has hinges of melodicism in it as well, but good stuff. Good stuff here. I got this one from Paragon Records. It was released on Helvete Records, but I purchased it through the Paragon Records website. Next up, we have, I believe this band is out of Sweden. This is some traditional heavy metal, has that power metal feel going on at times as well, and it is super solid. This is Kairos with Wicked Callings. This was released in 2015. And I believe this was their debut full length. I think they have one that came out after this. I definitely want to see if I can get my hands on a copy of that as well, because this is just super, super solid. I found this entire album enjoyable. It's when I think of like traditional heavy metal, this is kind of feels like what I want to listen to when I have that need to listen to something traditional, and even like that power / traditional vibe going on. This super enjoyable release. Definitely want to pick up at least the follow up to that. Next up, we have some death grind. Grindcore at times goes into the brutal death metal territory. This is Calibus with their EP entitled Enthusiastic Corruption of the Common Good. This is a release off of Willow Tip Records. I got this in a Willow Tip grab bag. This release has been out for quite some time, but it is a pretty solid little EP there. I know this band has some other material, but this is all that I own from them. But pretty decent. The jewel case has seen better days, but it's not quite busted to the point that I want to change it out, because jewel cases can get expensive doing the replacements. I know Rick has sent me a bunch of replacements. I've just about gone through all of those. I'm adding stuff into my Discogs still. I'm into like the M section, but I hit sections that got kind of beat up during the move, and I hit them in like waves. You can tell which ones were in certain boxes and end up having to change a bunch out. So I get kind of picky as to which cases get changed now and which don't. Next up, we have some pagan black metal out of Brazil. Full disclosure, this is some NS material, so if it's something that you want to avoid, this is one that you're probably not going to want to check out. This is Caliber with Call of the Vril's Son. I was kind of drawn in by that artwork, and listened to it and enjoyed it. And then after I purchased it is kind of when I found out what some of the subject matter was, and that's a bit unfortunate. But as far as the music goes, I do find the music on this to be quite enjoyable. Has an avant-garde black metal feel going on at times. I think you can kind of pick that up from the artwork there. Definitely has that pagan feel going on throughout it as well. Next up, this is some weird stuff. This is kind of experimental folk metal. Is the best, I guess. Experimental folk is the best way that I know to put it. Experimental folk / folk metal. This is Kalki Avatara with a mantra for the end of times. It's pretty fun. This has got like I believe this artist is out of Finland. I could be wrong on that, but it has like a Hindu tinge like theme going on this. It's very interesting, very different. I purchased this from Redstream Records many years ago. It was a definite blind buy, but as far as the release goes, it's pretty decent. It's just very different. That's the only way that I know to describe that. Next up, we have Kalma. They are like melodic death metal. They have some power metal vibes going on in their material as well. I really like this band, but a lot of their stuff is very expensive. This is their third full length. It is super solid. I want the first two full lengths, but every time I look for those first two, they are very expensive, and I just have not picked them up yet. This is Kalma with Swamp Song. Pretty solid. This was released in this. I guess this version was released in 2015. Definitely a reissue, and even this one was fairly pricey. in the grand scheme of things. I'm not sure when this album was originally released. Maybe 2003. That my brain is telling me, but this is like as I said, a reissue. But I mean, I don't know why their stuff is so hard to come by. I mean, as far as like they are a fairly well-known band, so I don't know what the deal is with the price point of their albums. And then I have a later release of theirs. This one is 12 gauge. I find this one to be pretty enjoyable as well. So I actually haven't heard anything from the band that I don't like. This one came out 2010 maybe. Yep, 2010. This release was released on Spike Farm, this particular pressing. So next up, I have some atmospheric black metal, depressive black metal. I have Brain Smasher to thank for this one. He talked about it, and I heard his little review that he gave on it. I checked it out, and I enjoyed it quite a bit, and ordered myself a copy. This band has so many releases out, it would be impossible to hunt down, and would probably be financially breaking to get all of their material. But this release is very good. This is Common Contagia with Rootma, yeah. Very cold, atmospheric, depressive style black metal, but it is absolutely fantastic. I wore this CD out when it came in. I played this over and over and over and over again. Very good stuff there. I've actually stretched this video out over 20 minutes. I told you guys that I was going to get to rambling. And then the last one that I'm going to show in this particular video is death metal out of New Jersey, I think. This is Collapsia with Angel Plague. This was released through Horror, Pain, Gore, Death in 2017. Third full length from this band. Definitely my favorite release that they have out so far. Very solid, very, very solid. I think I got this in a like 30 CD, that 30 for 30 grab bag that HPGD does sometimes. And this is one of the better releases that I got out of that. Very solid, straightforward death metal. Has a few leanings into melodic death metal, but it doesn't go overboard with it. It's just well crafted and balanced death metal, and I do find this one to be very enjoyable. So check that one out if you have not done so. As you can see, it's Collapsia with Angel Plague. So good stuff there. That's all for this video. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, I know I'm going out of town first part of the weekend, so hopefully I'll be back and we can continue into the K section, headstrong into the Ks next week. So that's all I've got for today. You guys have a good week. I should have some videos coming this week as well. Stay classy, stay metal, and I will see you guys soon. I promise.